Have you ever wondered what happened right after Adam, the first man, died? The Bible most of us read is pretty quiet on this, but there's another ancient text, one that's been part of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church for centuries, that tells a truly mind-blowing story. This isn't some New Age theory, it's a sacred text called the Book of Jubilees, also known as the Little Genesis. And it fills in some incredible gaps in the biblical narrative. So let's dive into this. According to the Book of Jubilees, when Adam passed away, it wasn't just a quiet family affair. Imagine this. All of his sons gathered to mourn him. They buried him in the land of his creation, a place that would later be known as the Cave of Machpelah. This is the same famous cave where Abraham would later bury Sarah, and where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob themselves would eventually be laid to rest. The book paints a picture of a grand, communal mourning that lasted for a full mourning period. It emphasizes the deep sense of loss felt by all of humanity's early ancestors. This wasn't just the death of a man, it was the end of the very first era of human existence. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. The Book of Jubilees doesn't just stop at the burial. It tells us that Adam's death triggered a cosmic event. Angels descended from heaven to be present. Think about that for a moment. The very beings who had witnessed Adam's creation now return to witness his end. This suggests Adam's life and death had a significance that reached far beyond the earthly realm. It was a pivotal moment in the spiritual history of the universe. The text describes a profound sense of closure, as if a great chapter in God's plan had concluded. It also mentions that Adam lived to be 930 years old, a detail that aligns with the canonical book of Genesis, giving this additional narrative a sense of authenticity and connection to the scriptures we already know. Now, let's talk about Eve. What happened to her after Adam's death? The Book of Jubilees tells us she died in the 8th year of the Jubilee after Adam, just a few years later. She was buried right there beside him in the same cave. This detail adds a poignant and deeply human layer to the story. Their journey, which began together in the Garden of Eden, ended together in their final resting place. It portrays a lifelong bond that transcended even their expulsion from paradise. The narrative emphasizes their shared destiny and reinforces the idea of them as the foundational pair of all humanity. Their joint burial symbolizes the completion of their earthly mission. But the story doesn't end with their burial. The Ethiopian tradition, drawn from texts like Jubilees, goes on to explain the spiritual significance of their death. It wasn't just the end of a life. It was the beginning of a new spiritual reality for humanity. Their deaths were the first human deaths, a direct consequence of the fall from grace. According to these texts, their spirits didn't just vanish. They entered a state of waiting, anticipating the future redemption of mankind. This introduces the concept of an afterlife, a realm where souls await judgment and the ultimate fulfillment of God's promise. It adds a whole new dimension to our understanding of early human theology. It wasn't just about life on earth. It was about the journey of the soul after death. This idea of a spiritual waiting period is crucial. It sets the stage for everything that comes next in the biblical narrative. The deaths of Adam and Eve served as a powerful, tangible reminder to their descendants of their mortality and their separation from God. Every generation that followed lived with the knowledge of what was lost in Eden and the hope of what could be regained. This narrative tradition suggests that the story of Adam and Eve isn't just a historical account. It's a theological foundation for the entire concept of salvation that unfolds throughout the Old and New Testaments. Their death wasn't just an end, but a necessary event that propelled the story of redemption forward. Now, let's compare this with the mainstream biblical account. Genesis chapter 5 simply states, "Thus all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died." That's it. It's concise and leaves so much to the imagination. The Ethiopian texts, on the other hand, flesh out this pivotal moment with rich, dramatic detail. They offer answers to questions we didn't even know we had. Why is this important? Because it shows that the biblical world was much more diverse and complex than many people realize. There wasn't just one single monolithic tradition, but a collection of sacred stories and interpretations that coexisted and influenced each other. The Ethiopian Bible preserves a branch of this tradition that has been lost to much of the Western world. So why was the Book of Jubilees included in the Ethiopian canon but excluded from others? The history of the biblical canon is incredibly complex. For centuries, different Christian communities had different collections of sacred books. The final canon, as most Protestants know it today, wasn't solidified for a very long time. the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church, being one of the oldest Christian churches in the world, maintained its own ancient traditions and manuscript collections, which included books like Jubilees and the Book of Enoch. They saw these texts as divinely inspired and essential for a complete understanding of Scripture. They weren't seen as extra books, but as an integral part of the story. The details in the Book of Jubilees do more than just satisfy our curiosity. They profoundly impact theology. The story of the angelic presence at Adam's death, for example, reinforces the idea of a constant, ongoing interaction between the heavenly and earthly realms. It shows that humanity's story is intertwined with the story of angels in the spiritual world. The description of Adam and Eve as spirits awaiting redemption directly foreshadows the Christian concept of Christ's descent into the realm of the dead to bring salvation to the righteous souls who came before him. It connects the very first humans directly to the central event of the New Testament, creating a beautiful, overarching narrative of fall and redemption that spans all of human history. When you think about it, the story of what happened after Adam died, as told in the Ethiopian Bible, is not just some unbelievable tale. It's a powerful and coherent narrative that enriches our understanding of the entire Judeo-Christian story. It fills in the blanks, connects the dots, and adds layers of meaning that can be incredibly profound. It challenges us to look beyond the familiar and explore the rich diversity of ancient sacred texts. It's a reminder that there are always more layers to uncover, more wisdom to find, and that the story of humanity is far grander and more mysterious than we can ever fully grasp. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey into the heart of an ancient text. If you found this as fascinating as I do, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into hidden histories and forgotten scriptures. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next adventure. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.